after me.
They say I might have to go to jail. Please, Grandpa. They want money.
The callers target men over the age of 65, and they've taken $250,000.
Grandpa. My hands are tied. My feet are tied. You're gonna kill me.
Diving in, I found the movie to be really like interesting and twisted, and it really got under my skin, really left me thinking, and so I really enjoyed that, and I'm looking forward to more people getting their eyes on it soon. I think movies do such a great job of transforming like the mundane and even like the wholesome into something unsettling or terrifying, and you do that with caregiving. What was the thought process behind turning something so kind of inherently selfless into something so self-serving and even self-destructive?
Yeah, you got it. You nailed it. Um, the basically like the idea for like talking about the compulsive side of caregiving came from well, I was living in Chicago. I don't know if you saw these as a person who lives in Chicago as well. Um, there were these billboards around that were advertising medical school. Did you ever see these? They were like it was like a woman like wearing scrubs and she'd be smiling and it would say, "It's amazing to be needed." Did you
Yeah,
ever
from
see it
Oak
around?
Park University, I think, right? Or
Okay.
Resurrection. Yeah.
So I was like obsessed with these billboards and I thought they were so strange. This idea like using this phrase like it's amazing to be needed and I like would say it to myself all the time like it's amazing to be needed. And um I at the time I was coming out of a long relationship and I'm like definitely like a caregiver type in my just like all my relationships and I started thinking about like I found it's amazing to be needed like so relatable and uh this idea that like how caregiving can become um compulsive and ultimately like destructive. And I thought that nurses would be like a perfect container for like this idea and sort of like based off this billboard, it was just like, oh, this is like kind of a perfect mixture of these ideas or so that's like very practically, I guess, like where that idea came from.
That's so interesting. Yeah, I remember those billboards. I think they were for Resurrection Hospital, and yeah, they are a little unnerving. Like it's meant to be wholesome, and it's unnerving.
Yeah.
Um, I also hadn't seen an erotic thriller like this before, and I don't know if you'd characterize the film as erotic thriller, but that's like how I kind of approached it. It's extremely erotic, but also not very sexual, or not at least overtly sexual. What do you see as being an essential element of an erotic thriller, and how do you think that your film kind of twists that on its head?
So I'm super interested in erotic thrillers and like how do you make an erotic thriller today? Because I think like we live in a culture that's so like where everything is permissible. And so like how do you make an erotic thriller where I think like the important element to an erotic thriller is taboo
Mm.
or transgression and then also just like, you know, a forbidden relationship, I think is like at the core of it. And but I really wanted to, you know, outside of, you know, playing with the sort of like I think like the forbidden love is sort of like the central element of a erotic thriller. I wanted to think about like how do you make one when like sex is so easily accessible online? It's like that's like not transgressive. And I like so I wanted to make an erotic thriller that had like a ton of restraint and was like very withholding. Because to me, like contemporary erotic thriller, like I think should look more like In the Mood for Love than like Basic Instinct, because
Mhm.
I just think like that's like more there's nothing kills eroticism like consummation.
I think it's such a like a contemporary approach to a genre, and yeah, I found that to be such an interesting filmmaking style. I want to talk about the two main characters at the crux of the film. So Eleni is drawn to Douglas in this like really mind-boggling, almost like dreamlike way, like she's in a trance or under a spell or something. What is your understanding of why Eleni feels such a pull to a man who isn't particularly nice, loving, or kind?
Yeah, I mean the movie is in a lot of ways about being in love with someone who's bad for you and wrong for you. And so I kind of wanted it to feel like she's going deeper and deeper into this rabbit hole. And I do think, I think some audience reaction is like, what is she doing? Like, and he's like, he's treating her badly, and like, this is why would she do that? And I think I like that reaction. Like, I think that's like kind of what it feels like to be in like a toxic relationship. Is like everyone in your life is like, what are you doing? And you're just like pulled deeper and deeper in. So I think that was like um I did sort of want her to be like uh it was always my intention that she just like had this sort of like magical magnetic pull to him and to Mona, the two of them, and that like Mona was kind of like her way into like the cult.
Mm.
Um and so yeah, I always wanted it to just kind of have this like kind of magical quality. So yeah, it's kind of like intentionally um ambiguous or magical.
Yeah, there's definitely a mystery surrounding that. So I did also want to talk. I know we touched earlier on like you filmed this movie in north suburbs of Chicago. Um, I love when horror films take an approach where they don't set themselves in like or thrillers where they don't set themselves in like the creepy asylum or the haunted house. They go for like something more routine. Midsummer did a great job at that. Can you talk a little bit about the thinking behind choosing to set this movie specifically in like a seemingly idyllic suburban area?
Yeah, I mean, I the setting to me, is an important part of like the feeling of the movie of like feeling out of step with the contemporary world and feeling like really like we're like unmoored. Um, and so I think like to me like that destabilizing feeling of like of the suburbs like to me is um like strange and creepy, if I guess. And so yeah, I guess it never even it just felt like such a natural part of the film was just like that it would be just like as beautiful and elegant as it could be. And that was like always our goal. We were like, how can we just make this like so elegant? It just felt like the story really needed it. It really needed to like feel slick. Um, and Yeah, I think like it's like, the retirement community is like is like an institution. So it's like also like sort of like the perfection of like an institution and like those spaces and hospitals and like, all those spaces are sort of like perfectly clean and um so I think that we just sort of like leaned into all the like natural parts of those settings.
Yeah, and I love that juxtaposition between how like sleek and like nice it is, and also like kind of the horrors that are unfolding behind closed doors. I guess quickly, just as a last question here, so the movie feels really unique, but that isn't to say that you didn't draw on other films. I'm curious, like what were some of the touch points narratively, tonally, or stylistically in crafting Night Nurse?
Lots of different things. I say I'm like saying maybe too many times that I love Cronenberg's Crash, and Adam Egoyan's Exotica. Those are like two big touch points. Um, Also love Lucretia Martel, Holy Girl. We like me and my DP would often talk about like, the desire angle and like how we would film Jemre and her perspective and um the movie is like very much like from her perspective, so that was like a big part of it. Like Three Women was a big inspiration. I would listen to that score a lot while I was writing. Um and so that's like I just think that movie's so beautiful. Of course, like The Pool was a big inspiration as well. And then uh and Catherine Breillat, who I love, who's just sort of a master of relationships.